evening, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to DolphinsTalk.com daily on this Wednesday, May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. I am your host, Mike, joined as always, as I am every Wednesday, by the 2020 Miami Dolphins Fan of the Year, Ian Berger. Ian, what's up?
What's up, Mike? No, nothing's happened lately. There's
quiet
not
week.
been anything. It's been a very quiet couple of days. So, but I have to say, I know for everybody used to seeing me in my normal studios, this is the alt studios because I got a kid that's doing an AP exam tomorrow, so she needs some quiet testing time. So that's why I've been relegated to the patio. So
That's
I'm good.
Right. Hey, and we hope she gets that A. I'm sure she will. First, want to give a shout out to everyone who is listening and watching us over at finheaven.com. Everyone out there, please go to finheaven.com where you can interact with the Miami Dolphins fans from all over the world. And, of course, everyone who's watching us now live at the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page run by the great Carlos Hernandez. What's up, Carlos? I guess before we get to the draft, there's two bits of news I want to talk about first, Ian. Number one, it was reported on Tuesday that the Miami Dolphins are going to receive a fifth-round compensation pick in next year's draft. So that will leave the Miami Dolphins in 2022, as of right now, with one pick in round one, one pick in round two, one pick in round three, but then two picks in round four, two picks in round five. I believe two picks in round six. I have to confirm that, but they do have two picks in round seven. So from round four on, I believe they have two picks in every round. Round six, I have to confirm, but so they do pick up an extra, or they will. It's not official till like next April, but there's a way where people can sort of figure this out, and that's because they lost Devon Gottschalk this past offseason, and they didn't sign enough back in return to actually hurt that. So they'll get a fifth-round compensatory pick, which is always good, Ian. It's good stuff.
I like having extra picks,
Yes.
especially in that fourth and fifth round area, because what it does is it gives you additional ammunition in case you want to move up in the third round or in the second round. Usually you'll see a fourth or fifth rounder go. And as you mentioned, we've got a lot of late picks next year. So, and I know you didn't even mention it. We probably don't even have the numbers in front of us. But the year after that, we have two first-round picks. It's going to be we got a good couple. If this year is as good as I think it's going to be, then the next year's draft and next year after that's draft, we're going to be in really good shape, Mike. And we're going to be in really good shape for a couple of years to come.
And here's the thing, too, with our round one picks in 2022 and 2023, we got to root for San Francisco to be bad. So just like this past year, where it was a little, side something to watch with Houston, and it couldn't have worked out any better when we got the third overall pick, obviously with the trades that went up and down. We can do the same thing now with San Francisco. Now, San Francisco, on paper, is a lot better team than Houston, but they play in a brutal division. They got Seattle twice, who's really good. Arizona twice, who's really good. The Rams twice, who are really good with an improved quarterback. San Francisco will see how long they sit Lance. But if they start off slow and they put in the kid at some point, Miami Dolphins fans are going to be licking them chops because that's telling you that San Francisco pick has a chance to be really high. The other bit of news was the Miami Dolphins had in Malik Hooker, safety, for a visit. Well, now, why is this news? Because, one, it's just a visit, but we know the Miami Dolphins right now have a salary cap issue. They only have $10 million under the cap. It's going to take almost all of that just to sign their rookie class. So they need more salary cap space. And we look at this roster over and over again. Where can they open up space? And there are a few vets who are in jeopardy here of being released. And there's two of them at safety, which are Bobby McCain and Eric Rowe. And if they're watching, nobody wants them to go. We like them as players. They're very good players. But this is the business part of the game. And I'm not saying, A, they're going to sign Hooker. They might not. Who knows? He's coming off a major injury. He might not be the same player he was prior to the injury. He tore his Achilles tendon last year. He only played in 2 games, I believe. So if they do, though, sign him in the next week or so, or a month even, because there's no rush, it might be a sign that Rowe or Bobby McCain or both could be on their way out, Ian.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, when the offseason started and we started talking about potential cuts, I think we talked about a Bobby McCain as not being on this roster next year, just because he's been good at times, but he hasn't been spectacular. It feels like some of the games where we were giving up yards, we were giving up yards to our safeties, not necessarily to Xavier Howard or Byron Jones on the cornerback side. So when also we picked up a safety in the draft as well in the second round. So that's another player.
Yep.
Exactly. So he's going to be on the roster. He's probably going to get an opportunity to start. Actually, a lot of analysts out there say that he should be a day one starter on this team. So again, you get him on this team, on this roster, it pushes McCain and it pushes Rowe further down. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think one of those guys, or like you mentioned, both of those guys may be in jeopardy. And Bob McCain has always been a team leader. He's always been
great player too. It's nothing to do with his play.
Yeah.
He's a great player. It's just they need salary cap space. And Rowe, if they let him go, that opens up roughly $6 million. No, I mean, Rowe saved roughly $5 million. McCain's roughly $6 million, which would solve most of their problems.
Absolutely.
So you draft a safety, top of round 2. You have this guy in now for a visit. We'll see what happens. You don't need to be Scooby-Doo to solve this mystery of what the next move is if they sign Malik Hooker. You sort of know the next domino to fall there. We'll keep an eye on it, though. We'll see, because nothing's official yet, and those guys are still on the team. Also, the wide receiver spot, you would think with so many wide receivers, and now adding Waddle into the mix.
Let me tell you, guys. I had the pleasure of joining the Positive Porpoise last night.
Yes.
And they had a little bit of their podcast. And Joe Rose was on, and we were talking with Joe Rose, and Joe Rose said, Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant may have played their last down with the Miami Dolphins, because when you look at the wide receiver group right now, Devontae Parker is in, Will Fuller is in, Preston Williams is in, right? And Waddle as well. There's 4, and then you've got
Lynn Bowden. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, and he did very, very well last season. So there's 5 right there.
Yeah, there's Malcolm Perry. And they just signed Robert Foster this offseason, more for special teams. But if they carry 6, right there's your 6. Hearns, Wilson, Grant are in trouble. And I said this on the shows. You probably didn't hear me. You were in Cleveland partying up in the streets dancing, I know. But I said this after the draft shows that I did with Tom and such. Grant and Wilson are kind of the same player. And Waddle's size-wise is sort of like that, but just more explosive and younger in a first-round pick now. And I think Grant, if he's let go, frees up between $4 and $5 million on the cap. Again, that's a big chunk of change for a guy who struggles as a wide receiver, but's mainly a return guy. Now, he's an excellent return guy, but Waddle can return kicks.
And Jevon Holland Noah Igbinoghene can also return kicks.
And so can Holland, who we just took in round 2. He can return. We got 3 guys now, young guys who can return kicks. Is Grant necessarily needed still? Probably not. But that doesn't mean he's gone. Until it happens, nothing's happened.
Correct.
Wilson and Hearns, they opted out last year, which is totally understandable. I get it. But they've been away for a year, and now we have a lot of new wide receivers in the mix. I don't know if they're all going to be gone. I think if one of them stays, it'll be Hearns. Because the thing with Hearns is, prior to him opting out last year, which is prior to the pandemic, nobody knew about it, they gave him an extension of a contract. So they like him. They really like him. I think the opt-out, once again, unforeseen. I think if one of those 3 has a chance to stay, it's Hearns. I think Grant and Wilson are in a lot of trouble. But once again, who knows? Just a lot of new faces in that wide receiver room for sure.
Absolutely. And just one last thing, Joe Rose said he actually doesn't know if any of those opt-out guys will be back. He said because and I went on to say, just like you, it's to no fault of their own that they wanted to be safe. He said, yeah, but again, this is the business.
That's
and
right.
A lot of people took those risks and chose to take those risks over others. And, he started talking about the team first mentality and saying, hey, teams may look at that and say, the team is not the first on your priority list. Now, however, and again, too, we're never going to know if that.
We're never going to know.
Right. We're never going to know if that actually happens or that is said. But it's going to be interesting to see, not just with the Miami Dolphins, but with all the other football teams in the league, how these opt-out players get treated. So we'll see. We'll see how that looks.
Yeah, and I'm sort of the same way. I don't fault anybody for opting out because I don't know their health history. I don't know what's going on in their, at home with their family members, their health history. I get it. If anybody wanted to opt out last year, I was not going to knock them. You and me for a whole year, we never knocked any of those guys because it's not our place to do that.
Right.
But Now, 1 year later, if the team wants to move on from them, I understand that side of it too. I get both sides. So everyone had to do what's best for them, and now that's the case here. So let's break down these draft picks real quick. I know a lot of people already know all these guys, but let's give our perspective. Let's get your perspective because we haven't heard from you really since last week on the podcast. Yep. Let's just go through them real quick and get some thoughts on them. First pick, number 6, Jalen Waddle, number 6 overall. Chase was off the board. Pitts was off the board. It is what it is with those two. But Waddle, explosive, super fast, instant offense. He really is instant offense. What were your thoughts on the Waddle pick, Ian?
I was actually a little surprised at first because I really did think that Devontae Smith was going to be the choice there. And I think I even mentioned that would have probably been my choice over Waddle. But the more I hear from Coach Flores, the more I hear from Chris Greer, where they said that's the only person we wanted out of that wide receiver group. And then you see the clips where Devontae Smith is saying, there's no way I would have won the Heisman Trophy had Waddle been around. And then you see some of his play on the field, and the guy is lightning fast, and that's what you want. So I think the big question mark for everyone has been, how has he been able to heal from the ankle injury? But one thing that I had a conversation with someone about, and this makes total sense, when you think about the Dolphins wide receiver group, you've had some wide receivers, and I'm not going to name any names, and I'm not going to put anybody down, but you have had some wide receivers that for a slight injury, they don't play, right? And you see Waddle, where he had a pretty tough ankle injury, and he said, I want to play in that championship game. I'm going to do what I need to do to get on the field, even if I'm not 100%. And he was definitely not 100% at that game. And I think that's a toughness that Coach Flores really, really likes from his players. So I like the pick the more I looked at it. And obviously I'm going to support him as much as I can. You saw the picture. I met the man at at Fort Lauderdale International Airport, which was really a cool highlight to start the trip. Cool guy. And he's actually a lot taller than I think people think he is. So that's there's a lot of things, but everything looks good right now. I can't wait to see him on the field and see Tua throwing balls to him like he did when he was in Alabama. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and when he played in that final game, championship game, they were up by a ton. He did not need to be on the field. He wouldn't come off. Nick Saban probably should have dragged him off just for the own kid's health because there's no reason to really have him out there. They were up by so much late in that game. But, he didn't want to come off the field. He's got that instinct in him, almost like we saw with Landry, that guy who's just, he's going to give 110% every game no matter what. We kind of need that on offense. And I will say, with this new wide receiver room that we got, which we just sort of spoke of, all the names, 2022, there's no excuses for Tua. He's got more than enough weapons now. So if he plays bad, there's no but. If he has a bad game, there's no but this, but that. No, there's no excuses for the kid. He has more than enough weapons at wide receiver, speed guys, size guys, tight ends, which we'll talk about here soon, coming out the yin-yang. He's got everything at his disposal to succeed. Now it's on him because Waddle is instant offense. And the thing I'm going to be interested most in seeing, that's probably the way to say this, is how our co-offensive coordinators, because we have two of them, which is unique, how they find creative ways to get the ball in his hand. Because this guy, you want the ball in his hands, whether he's running long, short, reverse, little swing pass, whatever, how they find ways to get him the ball because he is so explosive. You want the ball in his hands and just let him do his thing.
Agreed.
Let him do his thing.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. With pick 18, they selected another Jalen Phillips, pass rusher from the University of Miami, local kid. Well, he's not from there, so he's not really local, but he went to college there for 1 year. University of Miami. Ian, what were your thoughts on that pick?
My first thought was a conversation that we had about what would the Miami Dolphins fan base think if Najee Harris was still on the board and the Miami Dolphins went a different route. So I'm sitting there thinking, and I said it. We've said it a bunch of times.
I warned everybody.
The Dolphins top brass do not rate or rank running backs as high as I think fans would like it to be. But when he was selected, I love the pick because, again, you're talking about holes or weaknesses that we've had on our team, and the edge rusher is clearly one of them. Last year we had a lot of success with the blitzers coming from the linebacker spots over, what was it, the zero cover blitz where everybody was coming at the quarterback. Well, wouldn't it be great if we had a 4-man rush and then we had these safeties and cornerbacks being able to sit back either in zone or in man? And I think that's what the coach and Chris Greer wanted to be able to accomplish with Jalen Phillips. And I read something today which gave me goosebumps. It said, and of course, it's all on paper right now, but they said Jalen Phillips could be the defensive rookie of the year because he's that good, which I really was encouraged by.
Yeah, a few things about this pick. Number one, we're going to look back in a few years, and we're going to look at this one of two ways because I think there's no middle ground. We're going to look back at why the hell did they take a guy with a history of head injuries and number 18 to mistake, or we're going to look back the other case and say, this
Thank
was
goodness.
the steal of all steals. This kid, how did he fall to 18? He's as good as there ever been because he is that good. And yes, you're right. The Miami Dolphins need a guy because they haven't had one probably since Wake, which I know is not that long ago, but long enough, who can just put his hand in the dirt, look at any offensive lineman and say, I'm going to beat your ass, get to the quarterback, and then do it. We don't have those guys.
Yep.
Agba's good. He ain't that good, though. This kid has the potential to be that good. There's comparisons of him and Chase Young. Chase Young went number 2 overall last year. We got him at 18.
And he was the defensive player of the year last year.
He was unblockable
awesome.
last year at times.
Yes.
Awesome. And this kid, some people, not everybody, some people compare him to Young on that level, and he went number 2. We got him at 18. That's why I was warning people they're not going to take a running back. I will push back on one thing you said, though, about how the Miami Dolphins don't value running backs. I think they do. They just don't have a lot of luck because it was reported Thursday night after round 1 by Jason Lock-on-4 of CBS that the Miami Dolphins, after they took Jalen Phillips, were working the phones to get back into round 1 to get one of those 2 running backs, Etienne or Najee Harris. For Armando Salguero, they had Travis Etienne number 1 on their board, not Harris. So if they could have got in front of Pittsburgh, they would have taken Travis Etienne probably, not Harris. I'm sure they would have been happy with either. But I think they value them. They're just not going to do something crazy like part with a crazy pick to move. But they were trying to get back into round 1 to get a running back. That's fact.
Okay.
So I think the value's there. But once again, which sort of leads to our next pick at the top of round 2 with Jevon Holland. Everyone was hoping the running back from North Carolina would fall one more spot. You take him. He goes 1 pick before us. Even if he's on the board, well, one, I don't think the Miami Dolphins tried to trade up to get him, which just lets you know, not that they didn't want him or not value him. They weren't going to part with a high pick to take him. But I do think they value running backs. And if he was there, I don't care what they say, they would have taken him. There's no doubt they would have taken him in my book. And I know people say, yeah, but they handed in the card really fast for Holland. Yeah, because they knew once he's off the board, here's their next option. So Holland, though, great safety, Ian. Does it all, can play a little bit of corner. He's the Mika Fitzpatrick pick. He's going to do the thing that we wanted Mika Fitzpatrick to do a few years ago, be a little Swiss Army knife who plays everywhere. So what were your thoughts on the Holland pick at the top of round 2?
Sorry about that. I thought it was actually a good move, too. And some people were questioning it, saying, hey, we didn't need a safety at that position. Why did we run and take a safety? And I said it may not have been a great need, but it was definitely a weakness on the team. Every time I would do a mock draft, every time that I would look at mock drafts that other professionals did, they had a safety somewhere within the first 3 rounds of the draft. So the more I learned about this kid, the more I was like, this kid could be, again, a day 1 starter. Isn't that what you want with your first 2 rounds of picks, for the guys to be on the field from day 1 starting? And this kid can do it. And I'm encouraged because I think we have the cornerback situation already taken care of. Plus, again, this is a wild card. I'd love to see what Noah Igbinoghene can do. He's now going to be in the 2nd year in the NFL. He was a first-round draft pick. I want to see if he's going to be able to perform at the level that a first-round draft pick should be able to perform. And then that safety unit now is going to be shored up a little bit more, now with Jevon on the team. So I was happy. It took me a moment to kind of digest it again, but I said it's a safety. We need a safety, and he's a great safety that was in the draft. So I'm very, very happy with that.
Yeah, and plus it sort of plays into what we said at the top of the show. They know they need to open up cap space, and who are the likely candidates? The safeties. Well, if you're going to lose 1 or possibly 2 safeties, You got to have someone ready to go to step in and replace him. That's why they took a safety year. Plus, what we saw this weekend from the Dolphins is best player available more often than not. They didn't reach for needs like they could have. Best player available. Holland, when you combine, we're going to probably have to cut one of these two safeties. We are going to need a safety. And plus, he's the best player available on the board. It makes a lot of sense. So I don't mind the pick. I actually like the pick a lot. But it does really – this is a makeup pick for the Minkah Fitzpatrick thing. Because if Minkah Fitzpatrick's on this team, there's no need for Jevon Holland. It just – now they had to rope back around, clean up that situation at safety, and they get Holland. The next pick in round 2, Ian, is my favorite pick of the draft.
Tight end, huh?
No, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame.
Offensive tackle, that's right. Liam
Eichenberg.
Yes,
First off, the name. Liam Eichenberg. Just love the name. Liam Eichenberg. That's number 1. And I don't care that we had to part with a third-round pick next year to move up 8 spots. Because this, in my opinion, finally, like The Rock says, finally shores up this offensive line. Now, yes, center, they still have to find a long-term answer. That's fine. But Solomon Kinley, Robert Hunt, Austin Jackson, Liam Eichenberg. Eichenberg might not start week 1. He's a rookie. I get it. But at some point in 2021, whether it's week 3, week 8, I don't know, he will be inserted in the starting lineup, and he's never going to leave. This guy hasn't given up a sack in college in 2 years. He's been called for 4 penalties at Notre Dame in his life. This kid is just reliable. And once he's in that lineup, he ain't going to leave. I don't know who's playing right tackle. I don't know who's playing left tackle. That's why they got preseason games to sort this crap out. But once they sort it out, and I know with this kid, he is just not going to make mental mistakes. And Notre Dame in recent years has been an offensive line factory. The guys they send to the NFLs aren't just good. They're great, like Tony the Tiger. They're great. They're great. So Eichenberg, my favorite pick of the draft. And hopefully, finally, Ian, after all these years of investing first-round picks, second-round picks, and all these offensive linemen, you got Hunt, top of round 2. Eichenberg, top of round 2. Austin Jackson, round 1. Solomon Kinley, they traded up for in round 4. At what point do you stop having to take offensive linemen? If this kid doesn't work out, if this group doesn't work out, get rid of the people drafting offensive linemen because they're clueless. But I think it's going to work out.
I think you're right. And what's great about this, too, is that if it does work out, imagine where we will be able to go in the next 3 to 4 years, especially with all these rookies on rookie contracts, where we can spend our money in other places and allow these guys just to continue to work together and grow together. So I love that. I love the fact that we didn't take an offensive lineman too early.
Yeah, because it's the right spot to take it.
Exactly. I think that it could have been Penei Sewell at the 6th spot. I think there were some people that were saying that was going to be the right pick, but I think this kid is going to be good. I don't know if you saw, but he's a great Rubik's Cube guy. He's able to.
Wrong guy.
Oh, it is. That's a tight end. I keep thinking it's tight end. You know why? I don't know. But anyway, I'm encouraged with the offensive line. I can't wait to see them playing together because I want to see how they mesh together, and I want to see how Tua flourishes under, having a couple extra seconds behind center to be able to throw the ball down the field to hopefully a wide open Jalen Waddle 3 yards behind his safety or D-back.
Yeah, and I hate Notre Dame. I never root for Notre Dame. They can't lose enough Notre Dame. I like this kid. That's how much I like him. My favorite pick of the draft. I really think it's a home run pick because with any offensive lineman, you want a guy you can just put out there who's just not going to make mistakes, that you're never going to hear his name, mentally strong. And that I think he's that type of guy once he gets in the lineup. Now we're going to talk tight end, Ian. First pick
tight
of round
end,
3.
My Rubik's Cube guy.
Rubik's Cube guy, Hunter Long. This was by far the most controversial pick. Now, I don't think so. I love the pick. But I think with a lot of fans of the Dolphins, this was the most controversial pick of the draft. I've talked enough. Let me get your thoughts on Hunter Long, then I'll tell you mine. So what do you think Hunter Long, number 81 overall out of Boston College?
I think that from what I have seen, there have been some comparisons to a baby Gronkowski with his type of play. But also, I know that next year there are going to be some tough decisions that the Miami Dolphins are going to have to make regarding their tight ends. So I think this helps to shore up the tight end spot in case, you're able to sign Gesicki, but you're not able to sign Durham Smythe to his second contract, or maybe you don't want to for one reason or another. So this prevents you from really having to go get another tight end next season unless you really feel the need for it. But, again, you start looking at who is going to be catching the ball from Tua, and you have all these guys that are quick, that can jump up and get the ball, that can body themselves to get the ball. You look at the success that Travis Kelce has had. You look at the success that even Jimmy Graham has had as a tight end. And a lot of their successes in the red zone because they put on those basketball moves, and they block out the defenders so that only they can catch the ball. And I think this kid can do that. And I'm encouraged. And again, I'm a little partial because of his Rubik's Cube ability. I was really impressed by that. But yeah, I'm encouraged by him. And I don't see it as being controversial. I thought they could have gone again. They could have found a running back somewhere. But really, after running back, I didn't know if there were any more major spots besides, another tight end, another possible wide receiver. They weren't probably going to go for a cornerback. There weren't really other positions that you would need to really draft at that point.
Yeah. And like I said at the end of last week's show, what was my plea? What was my beg? Give Tua weapons. This guy is more of a weapon in the passing game than someone like Smythe.
Yeah.
And if you were sitting there pounding the table, hoping, praying that Miami was able to take Pitts at the top of the draft because you want to see Pitts and Mike Gesicki as a 1-2 punch. Well, that didn't happen. But now you got a 1-2 punch of Mike Gesicki and Hunter Long. Is he Pitts? No, he's not Pitts, clearly. But it's still more of a 1-2 punch than they had with the current guys on their roster. And a big part of this, like you said, is will they be able to sign Mike Gesicki to a long-term contract after this season? That's up in the air. And in this league, guys switch teams all the time. And when you look at what the Dolphins are going to have to do after this upcoming season, Will Fuller, his contract's going to be up. So is Mike Gesicki's. They might have to make a tough call. Like, we can only afford to pay one of these guys, not both. And if the call is to pay Will Fuller, well, now you just lost your number one tight end. They got someone in place. Is he as good as him? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But he's a capable receiving tight end who in a year from now could be a capable starting tight end. So a lot of these moves are made, not just in the here and now, because, yeah, for this year, it's going to be great to watch this kid play with Mike Gesicki. But in a year, he might have to take his spot because they have to let him walk because they can't afford him anymore because he's going to get a big payday at a tight end spot. I hope the Dolphins are able to get him to an extension prior to the season. But if I'm him and his agent, why would you sign that? Every year he gets better and better. Play out the year and get a big payday in the offseason from Miami or somebody else. We'll see. So I think that's why this pick was made. Now we get to day 3, Ian. Now day 3 was quiet, to say the least. Round 4 came, nothing. Round 5 came, something close. They were on the clock pretty much. You were on stage waiting to go. You were left at the altar by Roger Goodell. Nothing. Round 6 came, nothing. Round 7, they took Larnell Coleman from UMass, offensive tackle, pick number 231. Total project, good size, probably practice squad guy for this year, nothing more. Not much to say. You want to add anything on Larnell Coleman?
What's interesting is I wanted to read up on him, so I read up on him today, and there are some scouts out there that feel that this guy was so good that he could, within 2 to 3 years, be able to make it as a starter. Yeah. Because he was always loud. He was always getting better. He was always taking what the coaches were recommending. So like you said, probably more of a project, probably not going to do it the first season, probably not the second season, but possibly by the third season, he could get a starting roster spot or, at least be a rotational player on the offensive line. And again, when we're talking about 7th round picks,
that's what you want.
That's what you want. Somebody that you can groom, that you can coach, and someone who can be used, not someone who you're going to draft him and then the beginning of the season you end up dropping him because you realize he was a bad pick. So that's what I would say about him.
Yeah.
I think there's some encouragement there.
With someone like him, you are investing in traits. His size, his speed with his feet, and the arm length, especially the arm length. That's just his arm length. They can't be taught. Great arm length. So you are investing in the traits, and now you hope your staff can sort of coach him up to a point 2022, 2023, where he can be a contributor in some way. So that's why they made that pick. And Mel Kiper loved the kid. He thought he should have been picked in around like 5 or 6. He was shocked he was in around 7. Some of the other quote-unquote experts on TV said they didn't think he would be picked at all. So, but yeah, it's worth the investment. Now, 7th round, pick 241.
244.
You sure it's 244? Yes, you're right. Pick 244. You would know. Pick 244. The Miami Dolphins are on the clock. And then this happened.
How you liking this weather we brought from South Florida today? Yeah! I am proud to represent fans from all over the world for the only undefeated football team in National Football League history, the Miami Dolphins, to announce with the 244th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jared Dokes, running back, Cincinnati. Let's go, Fins up!
Yes, the Miami Dolphins' long national nightmare is over. They drafted a running back. And Ian Berger got to announce it. What's up, E? We'll talk about your experience later on, but let's talk about the player first. And let's just sort of end this talk with the running back talk in general, because that was the hot topic on social media all weekend. With this kid, it's fine. 7th round pick. He's got some skill set. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Got some size, which they need at running back. Some guy with someone with a little bit of power who can run in between the tackles, maybe move the pile. He had a lot of production at Cincinnati when he was healthy. Now, that's the key word, because he was hurt a lot, and he missed a lot of games. But when healthy, this kid was good. So I think just because, got to call a spade, the Miami Dolphins running back room ain't all that great. The competition ain't all that fierce. This kid has as good a shot as anybody to win a roster spot and win playing time. Not saying it will happen, just saying it's possible, because the competition in that room, it's not that tough. So I like the pick. He's going to have a shot. The kid's got some skills. 7th round pick. You can't get too crazy with it. But overall, as a player, I like it, Ian.
Mike, I'm going to be biased towards him for his entire career.
Understandable.
Yes, he was out due to injuries at various times, but I think the big thing with him is that he was resilient and was able to come back and be a producer after he was out. I think it was for half a season or almost an entire season, if I remember reading it properly. But I think, like you said, he's got an opportunity. Myles Gaskin was a 7th round pick. Salvon Ahmed was an undrafted free agent. So the Miami Dolphins look for these guys. Look at James Robinson in Jacksonville, who was an undrafted free agent. If you get the right offensive line and you get the right running back that can make the right moves, has the right footwork, and has some level of speed, anything is possible. So, this kid, he definitely has an uphill battle as a 7th round pick. You've got all these other guys. You've at least got 3 other running backs on the squad that look like they'll probably be making the team. But he's been a fighter his entire college career, so I don't think that's going to stop. So I'm gonna, man, I'm gonna be rooting for him to be the starting back one of these days.
And I think he's got a shot. I mean, I would tell you, me, if I didn't think he had a shot, I would say this kid's got no shot. I think he's got a shot. No. And that sort of leads to the bigger story of the running back thing. I know a lot of fans of the Dolphins were frustrated over the weekend. They didn't take a running back round 1, round 2, round 3. They didn't take one earlier. I tried to warn you for the past month. It might not happen. And I've been trying to tell you for well over a month, if they don't take one, they're going to start to look at Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, Frank Gore, Adrian Peterson, one of those types. I don't know which one of those types. And that's what will happen, and as it should. Now, at some point, whether 2022 or 2023, let's hope it don't go to 2023, they're going to have to draft a running back somewhat early. Maybe not round 1, but they're going to have to, because they need to find a young long-term answer, because the room they got, Ian, Myles Gaskin is fine. Salvon Ahmed is fine. Malcolm Brown is fine. They're nice players. But I'm going to read you some stats. You tell me if these stats are good or bad. These are all from last year. The Miami Dolphins, with the current group we got, essentially, which is mainly Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed. Yes, Howard counts in some of these stats and stuff, but we know that didn't change all these stats that much. The Miami Dolphins last year averaged just 1.4 yards after contact per rushing attempt, last in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins averaged 3.9 yards per carry, 29th in the league. And they averaged 2.5 yards before contact, 19th in the league. These are all horrible numbers. They're the bottom of the league type numbers. The Miami Dolphins was the only team in the league without a run over 31 yards. Myles Gaskin, he only averaged 2.5 yards after contact, which was ranked 83rd out of 142 backs. Salvon Ahmed was ranked 107th out of 142 backs. They are capable running backs in spurts, but when they get hit, they go down because they're just not those big bruising backs. They're not guys who are workhorse backs. They're guys who you can integrate into your offense. They'll have success, but they're not guys who are going to lead you to where you need to be. This is a stat that just blows my mind, which I read this one from the Miami Herald. Blew my mind. The Miami Dolphins running backs last year, all of them put together, put them all in the group. They only broke 19 tackles all year. They played 16 games. That means one a game, a few games more than one. There was actually two teams who broke less, which I don't even know who they are, but that's brutal. And 17.9% of the Miami Dolphins runs were stopped behind the line of scrimmage. The running backs, they're okay, not good enough. That's why they're going to add a Todd Gurley. They're going to add Le'Veon Bell. They're going to add one of those guys. Not that they're going to, solve the answers and they're going to be everything that we need them to be. It's just that it's going to help for this year. And then at some point you do find your long-term answer. But they couldn't find it this year for whatever reason, Ian.
I think you hit it home with the statistics, but I think by saying that too, and I'm not going to make excuses at all, even though this will probably sound like an excuse, but we have to also look at the offensive line, how they were put together, how they performed against the run. If you're talking about 19% of the runs were caught behind the line of scrimmage, some of that responsibility has to go on the offensive line for allowing defenders to get past that offensive line before the running back could even get to the line of scrimmage. But again, that is an excuse. So I apologize. I originally said I wasn't going to make it.
That's an excuse for that stat, but some of those other ones like Tinley broke 19. That's no offensive line. You can't pin that on anybody else. That's strictly on a running back. Yards per contact, no run over 31 yards. Like that's all running back. So for that one stat, that's a fair excuse. Nobody would knock that. But the other stats, that's all running backs.
Makes you miss Jay Ajayi and Ricky Williams, right?
Oh, it does.
Because they used to be ball hawks where guys would be hanging all over them and they'd be breaking 3 or 4 tackles at a time. Yep. They could break 19 tackles in 2 games. Sometimes.
That's why that stat blows my mind. 19 tackles all year.
Yeah,
that is scary. So I know fans are still upset about the running back thing. Tom, he took it a lot better than I thought he would actually. On our post shows, Ian, he took it better than I thought.
Deep down, he was still grumpy. He was still grumpy.
He was still grumpy, but he wasn't as grumpy as I thought he'd be. But it's gonna be okay, folks. They're gonna sign a veteran for a 1-year deal, and don't get nervous about the money. When you sign one of these guys on a 1-year deal, you're not paying him like he's 22 years old coming out of college. You're paying for an older guy who's still, they know their role. And with Todd Gurley, he is only 26 still. I think he's about to turn 27 in the summer, but he's still fairly young. I know a lot of wear and tear, a lot of injuries. I get it. But to be part of a committee, that will improve this situation more because now you rely less on Myles Gaskin, less on Salvon Ahmed, and they're used more in the roles they should be used more in. And who knows, maybe some other team lets go of a top back and Miami can jump in, or maybe they can make a trade for a guy. There's still a lot of time left between now and training camp. So just everyone calm down. We're going to be fine at running back. Next year, we'll go through the whole thing again. That's going to be our talk for the entire month of April. Ian, I will tell you right now, when we're going to take a running back this year. I can tell you 1 year out what we're going to be talking about all next April.
Either that or we're going to be talking about our Super Bowl victory, and we're going to be so happy that it really doesn't matter.
I hope it's that. I really do. I hope it's that. It's time to talk about Manscaped. Folks, before I get to the live read, for Manscaped.com, where you can use a promo code DolphinsTalk, save 20% on your order. I got some news, and it's big news. Ian knows the big news, but we can't share it tonight. Tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, go to Twitter. Go to Ian693. Go to my Twitter feed at Dolphins Talk. And there is going to be a blockbuster announcement from Manscaped. I wish I could share it with you. I really do. But it's going to be something that will change your life forever. It's going to revolutionize the manscaping business forever. So, Manscaped.com. Save 20% with the promo code Dolphins Talk. But more importantly, Thursday morning, when you wake up, run to Twitter and check out Ian's page, my page, and you're going to hear this blockbuster announcement, and you're going to want to be a part of it. You're going to want to get in on it with Manscaped. Now, Ian.
Yes, Mike.
You got Bush? You got Bush? You definitely do if you haven't tried the best products from our sponsor, Manscaped. After using these life-changing products, you're going to want to join a ball sack beauty contest. I'm looking out for you, too, because I have an exclusive offer. Use the promo code DolphinsTalk, save 20%, and get free shipping. The Perfect Package 3.0 kit comes with the essential Lawnmower 3.0, a waterproof cordless body trimmer, and tons of other liquid formulations to round out your grooming routine. Because, gentlemen, when you trim the hedges, the tree stands taller. You also want to find a Crop Reviver ball toner, a spray-on testy toner that's designed to make your balls smell irresistible. So everyone go to Manscaped.com, promo code DolphinsTalk, save 20%. But more importantly, go to our Twitter feeds Thursday morning, Ian693 at Dolphins Talk, to hear about this blockbuster announcement from Manscaped that, trust me, you will not want to miss, folks, and you will want to get in on this at all costs.
All I'm going to say, Mike, is had you talked to me a year ago and say I'll be talking about, like, ball deodorant and, and lawnmower 3.0 and, and hedges standing up and Bush, and I probably would have said there's no way that we'd be talking about this. But Manscaped has changed our life, Mike. Manscaped has changed our podcast.
It has been an amazing partnership we've had with them that will continue into the spring and summer months for sure.
Awesome.
And it's just they for as much fun we have with them, the products they put out, you've seen them, you've held on to them.
Yep.
The products they put out are really, really good. And I'm not joking when I say that. Now, I'm not saying I'm using all these products. I'm just going to be totally honest. But like the bath gels, the body gels, the foot duster, some of this stuff, is really good. And the lawnmower, the weed whacker, which I do use, the weed whacker, the ear hair trimmer, nose hair trimmer, that thing's amazing. One of the best nose hair trimmer, ear hair trimmers I've ever owned. So all joking aside, the Manscaped stuff is really, really good. Everyone go to Manscaped.com, promo code DolphinsTalk, 20% get free shipping, and be on the lookout Thursday morning for this blockbuster announcement. Now we're going to close out the show here talking about, and with our good friend Ian Berger, about his experience in Cleveland and getting to announce a pick in Cleveland on stage in front of the world in round 7. And plus, what else happened throughout the weekend? So, Ian, I'm just going to hand this over to you, and you start, and I'll sort of jump in every now and then when I have a question.
No, man. So, first of all, Thursday night was the draft party at Hard Rock, and that was such a great time to see all the Miami Dolphins fans, to really see people that I haven't seen in 2 years. And in some cases, some people I was meeting for the first time. There were some people that were stopping me saying, "Hey, Big E, I follow you on Twitter." And, and most of them, believe it or not, as soon as they said what their Twitter handle was, I was like, I know exactly who you are. I know who you are. So anyway, that was Thursday night. It was a fun time. I don't think I got home till like 11 or 11:30. And then Friday we flew out, but the item that happened, and I was thinking that there was a slight possibility that this might happen, but as we're sitting there at Fort Lauderdale International, and I've got all my Dolphin stuff on, and I see that the plane comes in from Cleveland to Fort Lauderdale, I'm like, maybe there's a chance that one of the football players that were drafted is coming from Cleveland and is flying into Fort Lauderdale. So I see a guy come out. He's got it's a draft hat, but it says Buffalo Bills. So I asked him, he's a built guy, really built guy. And I said, did you get drafted? He's like, no. he said, but one of my player got drafted from the University of Miami. Who is the player that got drafted? Russo, right?
Russo, yep.
So he was the manager for Russo. So Russo was on the plane. But then he says to me, but Jalen Waddle is also on this flight. I'm like, are you kidding? And he said, no. So he's like, he's wearing all black, and you'll see him when he comes out. So as soon as he came out, I asked him, obviously I was in all my stuff, and I was like, would you mind, for a picture? Really quiet guy. I think also he probably had a pretty late night, I would imagine, being just drafted. But he said, absolutely, and took a picture real quickly. I wished him luck. I said, welcome to Miami. We're really glad that you're here. And then he went on his way. And then I got on my flight, headed to Cleveland, walking in the Cleveland airport to get on the subway to get to downtown. And I walked by this tall guy, and I'm like, I know that guy. I'm like, I know you. And sure enough, it was Rondé Gasson. Walking through the airport, he was flying back home to Fort Lauderdale on the next flight. So I had an opportunity to take a picture with him, and he said he was there to give support for Patrick Surtain. Yeah, Pat Surtain.
Those are my old podcast co-hosts when you did that show every Friday over a year ago. I love those guys. I love Rondé and Pat. So much fun. It's
so funny because some people are like, how did you recognize him? He's got a mask on.
Rondé.
Yeah, Rondé. If you've seen him before, especially over the last 5 years, you know exactly what he looks like. So anyway, we got down.
I'm going to see him a lot more because his son is going to school up here in Syracuse, New York. So I know he's going to be coming up for a lot of the games. I want to see him around town all the time in Syracuse. I'm sure he's going to move up here for every home game. I just know how he is. And nice. He's awesome.
Very nice. And he was a really super guy. I was really fortunate that he allowed me to take a picture with him. But anyway, so we got on the subway, got down to our hotel, which was a 5-minute walk from the subway station, which was really perfect. Really nice hotel at the Renaissance Cleveland in the heart of downtown.
That's the best one.
Yeah, it was, and the room was big. We didn't really spend much time in the room, but to sleep for like 6 hours a night, but we put our stuff down, and then I actually ran into a couple of the fans of the year down in the lobby. They're like, yeah, we're going to the NFL experience or the draft experience inside the stadium. Why don't you meet us down here and we'll walk with you? So that's what we did. We walked over there. Everything was in walking distance. And I did a field goal kick. I did a Hail Mary kick, got a bunch of pictures. They interviewed us while we were on the field. So that was really special. That was Friday night. By the time we got back to the hotel, it must have been probably 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And we had to be up really early for Saturday. So we did that, got up early, met all of the fans of the year in the lobby. They walked us to the draft area, and we were basically just able to sit there for pretty much an hour and a half waiting for everything to start. And, we were having fun with it, right? There's a video out there of me doing a line dance because we're just sitting there. We're having a good time. You've got 30, and there ended up being 30 of us. There were 2 that weren't able to make it, but 30 of us were like, we're just going to enjoy this experience while we can. And that's what we did. When it started, when the actual draft started, they had us flanking Roger Goodell right at noon, right at the start of the third day. And what was great is that we were in the green room with him before our side was in the green room with Roger Goodell. The other side wasn't. And, we were just talking, and he really did say that the biggest thing that he missed this year was the fans in the stands of all of the games. He said, to be honest with you, he said, I didn't really want to go to stadiums that were empty, but I did go to some of the stadiums that were empty for some of the games, so he was being really honest with us, and it was nice. And he took pictures with us. And then afterwards, so after the whole thing happened, we went on stage, he opened the day, he took individual professional pictures with us. And I haven't gotten mine back yet, so he did one-on-one pictures with us on the stage. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Yeah. And then, come the 154th pick, the Miami Dolphins were supposed to make a pick. So they brought me in about 10 picks prior to the green room, and I was there with three other individuals, 3 other fans of the year that were going to be picking as well. 2 of them went on, did their picks, and I'm standing there on watching, right? I'm watching the stuff happening on the side, and then just as it was about to happen, somebody pats me on the side. They're like, they just traded your pick. I was like, oh, because, in my head, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. I don't want it to sound silly. I want everything to work out, So I went and, went back and sat down. I think it ended up being for about another hour and a half. And then they said I was going to be doing the 200, I think it was the 231st pick. 10 picks before that, they came to me and said, we have some news. Somebody else is going to be calling that pick. And it ended up being Coach Flores with his 2 sons. And I was like, hey, if it's Coach has got to get in there, right? Coach has got in there with his 2 sons. So that happened. It was nice. Finally, 240, probably about 5 picks before 244, I think they determined it wasn't going to get traded. So they came and got me. And I got to the backstage area. And I was just sitting there, and they told me I was the last fan of the year to actually be able to present a pick. So everybody else had gone before me. And I'm just sitting there, and my heart was pumping hard. I didn't know who I was going to get, and then they finally gave me, actually what happened was they heard it on, I guess they heard it through their microphones or their headsets first. And the woman said to me, she said, you're going to be so happy. It's an easy name to pronounce. And I was like, Mike, I'm thinking of Mike. I'm like, Mike is going to be so happy because we practice, right?
We practice. We got a good name.
But then when I saw it was a running back, I was so elated. I was so happy because, and I know it's a 7th round running back, but I saw a lot of the conversations that were happening with the Dolphins fans about how they wanted a running back. So in my mind, I was like, all right, they're going to be happy. Not as happy if they got a running back in the 3rd round or 4th round, but they're still going to be happy. And then when I went out, I think I did the boss walk on the way out, which I don't have a video of. But then when I got there on the podium, I was like, I had gone through that speech that you saw 10 times in my head, sitting in that green room, because I didn't want to forget it, and I didn't want to look, like look funny on live TV or whatever cameras were covering me. So it came out, and it came out loud. It came out passionate. I was playing. There were I think there were another 10 Miami Dolphins fans still there in the inner circle. And I was playing to them, and they were the ones really screaming. So I don't know if you heard when I started talking about undefeated football team, they were screaming because they were so happy, so excited. And I got off, and I just thought to myself, I'm never going to be able to make this walk off the stage probably ever again in my life. And I boss walked it off, man. I just walked off with my head high. I was trying to do my best Vince McMahon impersonation.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon power walk, baby. VKM. I love it.
And it was all just, the whole thing was having fun. Life is about having fun. And some people were like, they just read the card and they just walked on and off. And
that's
I was
good
like,
for them.
And that is good for them. That's probably what they enjoyed, and that's what they preferred. But for me, I was like, this is fun for me. This is fun for our fans, because I think many fans will love it and they'll appreciate it. But I will tell you, I went back and I sat down in the inner circle. Danny Johnson from the TPP was there. Some of the other huge fans. Jason from the California fan club. He was the one wearing all the face stuff. And then another guy from the Carolina fan club for the Dolphins. He wears like the shield and the full face mask. They were all in there, and I was shaking, Mike, for about 10 minutes afterwards because my adrenaline was pumping so much because I was so high. I was high because of what happened, and it just felt so good. I felt really so good about it. And I will tell you, and this is not me being conceited at all, I've probably watched that clip about 100 times so far because I just kind of love reliving it and reliving that moment again and again, and looking at it from different angles. You see some different things. Scott Hansen was there. He gave me some fist bumps. They gave me a hat afterwards. Nice. The trucker hat that I already have. I ended up giving it to one of the guys. Actually, I gave it to Mirta in the inner circle. Okay. She lives in the same town as me, and we had talked a little bit, but I gave it to her because she hadn't gotten it yet. So it was an amazing, amazing, amazing experience, and I was really honored to be part of it. Really, the more I think about it, the more I really appreciated being part of the whole process.
The draft, that whole weekend, when you really think about what it is, it's just 206 names being read off an index card. Yep. And how they have turned that into a party, how they've turned it into a football convention to where the football world, the diehards, whether fans of the year or people who are in groups like all those groups, the fan club groups, they all converge on one city. It doesn't even matter where the city is anymore. They fly in and just party to hear names read off an index card. That's all it is.
Yep.
And it's turned into something big. And I think some of those fans who had to read off the names, I'm sure they were nervous as all heck. And for them just to get up there, read the name, not sort of slip up, screw up, and just get off, that was probably a weight off their shoulders. And for them, that's what. Ian, I always tell you this. You are a good public speaker. Not many people can do what we do on a podcast, talk for an hour, keep it entertaining, keep it moving, snappy, keep people engaged. So I knew you would do well, and you would be more comfortable up there than most. And the fact you got up there with your Vincent Kennedy McMahon walk, you read it off, 1972 Dolphins, only undefeated team, fins up, let's go, the whole thing. I knew you'd hit a home run because that's in you. It's not in everybody. Not everyone can do that. I'm not even sure I could do that. I can host this podcast sitting in here and talking, stand up in front of,
there were thousands of people.
Exactly.
I
think I could. I think after all the years of this, I think I could.
Yeah,
but,
I think you could.
But like 5-6 years ago, I don't know if I could. But now I think I could. But not everybody can. But I knew you would do great. You got a good name. Nothing crazy. You got a good name from Cincinnati. Everything was good. But it was fun to watch. And yeah, you got to have fun there because that third day of the draft, it gets tedious after a while, man. Those picks, it's like who from where, and it gets tedious.
Donna Ponte was actually she was naming off a lot of the draft picks, and she was
Former
excited.
Miami Dolphin executive,
exactly. So she did a lot of them in that last round. And here's what I keep saying: I don't know if they will ever at an NFL draft see a 244th pick in the 7th round be as passionate as what I gave for the 7th round this
you
past
brought
draft.
It. Yeah, exactly. You
brought
it, and when that pick in round 5 was about to get up, I'm okay. Round 5 here, I'm ready. It's probably going to be on TV because round 5 they're still showing them. Yep. And there we go. And then you got the thing up on social media. You're walk to the back. Ian's ready. I'm ready. Everyone's ready. And you get left at the altar. It happens.
So I wanted to say something else too. And my daughter, she really found the experience to be so special, and they allowed her to do something really cool. The first time around, they didn't ask me to bring my daughter to the green room, but the second time around, they said, you can bring her if you want. And so she was there, and she was actually videotaping me from the quarter. And she just loved being part of that. She loved being part of the whole thing. But again, by the end of it, she was exhausted. We were both exhausted. Like we went to the hotel and we just went right to sleep. And then Sunday we had to leave at 6:45 in the morning to get to our plane. So there was no time, but we did go to a Heat game on Saturday night.
Yeah, that's right. You went to the Heat game.
And the Heat won. So again, I'm going to give a lot of props to my friend Alex. So Alex, he is a representative for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he's a diehard Miami Dolphins fan. And he helped my daughter and I. But in addition to that, and I have to give him some love here, he helped Igor. Igor's with the New York because Igor he sent out the MetLife takeover. Yeah. He sent out a tweet a week before the draft. He said, how can I get a ride from the airport? Blah blah blah. This same guy Alex drove Igor basically everywhere, and I think he even picked him up at 3 a.m. one day. And I'm like, that's the community that we have built. That is the type of people that we have. And I know I've gotten offers, and I know everybody's serious about that, but I've gotten offers for, to stay at people's houses if I want to go to an away game. That is a community that we have. And that's truly what makes me proud to be a Miami Dolphins fan, just the community that we built.
The last time Tom and myself, you couldn't be more right. The last time Tom and myself flew down to Miami for a game, which is 2019 now, we went down there twice for the Redskins game and the Jets game. And the first few trips we went down there, we tried to find a nice restaurant to have a little sauce. We're two Italian guys, like a little ziti, veal parmesan. We cannot find a good Italian restaurant because where we're from, there is a good Italian restaurant. You could throw a stone, you're going to hit 5 of them in a row. Down there, it's been a challenge. We've had some bad ones. So we had a little game, little contest. We go, look, we got 3 months until we're going down there. Everyone email me the best Italian restaurant I'm going to go through the reviews, go to the websites. I'm going to do my own research. If we pick the one that you sent us, we're going to buy you a hat and a shirt or something, whatever. Ian, I got probably 110 offers, right? Like,
and I heard who won. I was so happy when I heard who won.
All these people setting these offers, and most of them wasn't just check this place out, it's my favorite. Hey, tell me when you go there, I'm going to buy you a meal. It's like, no, I'm not looking for a free meal. I can afford a meal. But the fact people were offering that to Tom and myself was just so nice. We're like, these are the greatest fans in the world. They're like, I'm not looking for a free meal. I will pay, but I just want a good restaurant so we don't waste our time eating a garbage meal again. And the amount of people that send stuff and everything, it's unbelievable. And Igor, one of the nicest men alive. I have watched games with him. I've been down in South Florida with him numerous times for various events and weekends. I mean, I'm sure he was very grateful to get some rides around town because he's
like 3 a.m, man.
Exactly.
Right? That's
because he does. Those MetLife takeovers are a big endeavor. He does, him and Michelle, and the amount of money they raise for various charities is just enormous. So one of the nicest fans, one of the best fans out there, Igor. So very glad he was able to get a ride. He wasn't stranded.
Well, he could have taken the subway too. The subway was so easy to take. But
it's a good little city. Everything is close walking distance. Good little city.
It was nice. I think we ended up with 10,000 steps per day. I've been tracking because I'm trying to lose my weight. But anyway, it was truly an amazing time. I'm now on to figuring out who the NFL Fan of the Year program for 2021 is now open, so people can apply, people can nominate. And here's the thing: this year, the difference is last year they were only allowing 3 finalists to go to the Super Bowl. Now what they're saying is that every one of the team finalists will get a Super Bowl ticket for them and a guest, and they will also get tickets to the NFL Honors event that will be also held there. And I think they'll also be going to the draft, even though I didn't see that.
Super Bowl is Los Angeles, I believe.
Yep.
Draft is Las Vegas.
Yep.
2 very fun cities to visit. It's time to crown a new Miss America, as they say. Ian will be relinquishing the crown, and the new Miss America of the Miami Dolphins world will be chosen. And that will be fun to see. I am not throwing my support behind anybody, so nobody ask me. There's a lot of very good candidates, and whoever gets it, I'm sure, is more than deserving.
Here's the thing, Mike, and I know, I have someone, and I won't mention it just yet, but I have somebody who's kind of in mind. But the fact is that the NFL loves this program. I think based on the success that we had last year, even with the pandemic, I think they absolutely love the way that this program worked out. So I think it's only going to continue year after year after year. So, we've got some amazing super fans, as I like to call them, so if they don't get it this coming year, they'll have an opportunity the next year after that, or the next year after that, or the next year after that. It's going to
keep going.
Exactly.
I have some names in mind. I'm just not going to share them publicly because I don't want, not that I have a great influence over I don't want to give any influence. Whoever it is, let it happen. But we'll talk off the air because I got a feeling your names are the same as mine. But I don't want to share them here. So overall, great weekend. Ian, unbelievable. You did great announcing that name. We practiced all those names. You got a good one. You got an easy one, thankfully. But awesome trip. Memories for a lifetime with you and your daughter. And now I guess we're early May. Look, we probably won't be doing shows every week because there's just not that much to talk about. But we're not going to go totally away. When news breaks, we'll pop and have a show, have some laughter. There's always a way to have fun on these shows. We'll do it. So I don't want to promise a show every week because we probably won't. But we're going to pop in every now and then. Plus, we're going to do more interviews, Ian and myself, with fans. The Dolphins Talk fan series where we get to talk to you fans. I have a list of names of people we still have to get to. And I know with the draft it was tough because so much of our programming was centered around the draft. Now we're in that off-season part, May, June, July, where there's really not much to talk about. This is where we turn our podcast over to you. And we're going to talk to the fans. We're going to have a lot of you guys on. And whether it's Josh or it's Tom, well, I don't know about Tom. Tom's really busy these days. Josh, or whether it's Ian and myself, we will be reaching out to you guys. If some of you haven't reached out to us and you want to be on the show, send me an email at DolphinsTalk1977@gmail.com. I'll put your name on the list. We'll get to you this offseason. I promise you. 2 things I promise. We're not turning anybody away. We're going to get to everybody. But we might not get to you right away. It might not be to the summer. It might not be to June. We'll get to you. Just might not get to you right away. So I have a list of names. We will get to you. So if you want to be on with Josh or myself and Ian to share your story of how you became a fan of the Miami Dolphins, this is the time of year where we're going to have a lot of fun with that stuff. So Be on the lookout for that. As always, go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com. We got tons of new articles, new videos, new podcasts. We have player bios of all the draft picks. Get to learn them, highlight videos, all the scouting reports. We have so much content. It's unbelievable. Be sure to follow Ian on Twitter at Ian693. Follow me on Twitter at Dolphins Talk. Go and subscribe to our YouTube page. Go to YouTube and search for Dolphins Talk. Subscribe to Ian's YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search Big E, Miami Dolphins. I had the Miami Dolphins part. And just one message from me I want to say here, then I'll let you say something, Ian. I want to give a shout-out to the staff at the website, Dolphins Talk, all the writers, all the podcast hosts, everyone. We had record traffic the past week. All the podcasts have record numbers. All the videos had record views. This website staff, everyone, and I'm not going to name names because it's everyone. There's too many names to mention. Did amazing work this past month, but especially this past week during the draft season, because we know as fans of this team, everyone's amped up for the draft. They want to consume all the information they can, and we put out a lot of good content, written, audio, video. So big shout out, Ian, to our entire crew, yourself included. Everyone did great. So just want to say thank you to everyone here who works and contributes at DolphinsTalk.com.
Yeah, no, they did tremendous, Mike. And I think, we have a great group, and I'll continue to say it. You're never going to get.
It's a fun group.
You're not going to get as great detailed coverage of the team from anyone besides some of the closest fans that see everything that's going on every single day. So, this team has really been able to put a lot together over the last week, which was one of the biggest weeks that we've had since January. Kudos to everyone. Kudos to all the guys. And one thing too, Mike, that we haven't mentioned yet, I don't know if we want to do a show this time next week or not, but there's going to be not just the Manscaped, but also remember too, there's going to be the schedule release next Wednesday.
Oh, so you know what? That's right. I forgot about that. We should do a show. Now the schedule release is at 8, so we might do a show a little later than we normally do. Let's do a live show next Wednesday. Because it's 12th. It comes out at 8. We can do that right after it's done. So maybe like 8:05, 8:10, so we can have 5 minutes to look at it.
Let's do it.
Talk about. Yes. Ian, that's why. See why our staff is so great. Ian picked up the slack where I fumbled. He jumped on my fumble. Good job, Ian. So, yeah, we will have a show next Wednesday with a schedule release. Maybe we'll see if some other people can join us as well. Maybe get Josh or Aaron on or something. We'll see.
Yeah.
Tom, I know Tom's in the middle of a move, so it might be a little tough for him. But we'll see. If he's free, he's more than welcome to join, obviously. But, yeah, absolutely. Next Wednesday, we're having a show. Schedule release. Good call. Ian,
thank you,
way
sir.
to go.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a great Wednesday night. Have a great Thursday if you're listening on Thursday. And we'll talk to you again after a while.
Fins up.